New Jersey, Cumberland County, home of the tea burning. There were several tea parties during the Revolution, I think about 7 of them. But this one here, we burn it. But there's a lot of history about this town. It can be a very mysterious town. A lot of things that have never been explained. Things that we can explain. Some people are afraid of it. Me, I've lived here all my life. I just learned to live with it. I sleep with one eye opened. But we're gonna, through our stories, take you up and down the street. The main road used to be Main Street up to years ago. Then someone decided to name it Ye Great Street. But this street used to be an Indian trail. The Lenape Indians were here. The Wood family were very good friends with the Lenape Indian chief. In fact, he's buried out in the woods with a stone grave there. And only some of the townspeople know where it is. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you. This is my friend Daniel. He lives right up the street. He's lived here a long time, and he's experienced some things too. But this street was an Indian trail at one time. Yes, after the Indians had it, there was some dealings between John Fenwick and William Penn. I'm sure you've heard of him up in Philadelphia. At one time, after the street was established, Greenwich was a big port. It was the last big port coming off of the bay and the ocean up to Philadelphia. A lot of people don't know that. They look at the size of Greenwich now, and they have no idea of the importance of Greenwich in the 1700s. This street was mainly founded around 1680, and that's when the deal was made. But there's a lot of strange things up and down this street. Some things some people are afraid of. Some stories we've only heard the last couple of years because people just, they're so used to having those kind of stories here, they don't think nothing of it. Some people are afraid to tell the stories because they think they might think they're nuts or crazy or something. Makes me think of one house to start out with. First of all, I'd like to tell you that we're at the Nicholas Gibbons house, which is the headquarters of the Cumberland County Historical Society. It's in the pretty much dead center of town, the middle of Ye Great Street. As we head down one way toward where the firehouse is, there's a yellow house down there. It's been empty for an awful long time. And nobody would move in. And nobody would wonder, you know, why? Why would somebody not want to move into this little house? One time, years ago, about 5 years ago, a husband and wife came there with a realtor, and they were interested in the cute little house. Well, as they were with the realtor downstairs, looking at the bottom floor, their son, little Bobby, went upstairs. And he was running, they could hear him running around up there and playing and having a good time. When they were done looking around at the house, they went to the front door with the realtor. And they were about to leave, and they called for their son. And he didn't come at first. They called his name again. And they wondered why he wasn't coming. And then finally the father, a little bit perturbed, went to the steps and said to him, "Why aren't you coming?" And he said, "What about Ezekiel?" And the father said, "Ezekiel who?" He said, "He's the man. I was coming up the steps and he was laying on the floor. And I had to be careful that I didn't step on him. Then he got up and he talked to me. And we played a little while." And the father, very perturbed at that time, there's nobody here. And he went up the steps, took a look, But the boy was very insistent that that man was there. It was his friend. Well, the father grabbed him by the hand. They went down the steps, said goodbye to the realtor. They left, and the realtor said, well, think it over. I'll give you a great deal. It's been on the market. When they went home, the father and mother was pretty perturbed and angry at their son, thinking that, as young kids do, thinking that he was playing games. The boy was so insistent. He was insistent to tears. Finally, the mother was convinced that there was something that had happened there, because the boy was so upset. She had never seen him so upset before. Needless to say, they never bought that house. We still don't know. We still don't know because nobody's been in there since then. A few doors down, there's a house right across from the store. There was a family that lived in there at one time, and my friend here, Daniel, we know the family. We used to go at the house. They had a son that was our age. But something always seemed a little funny there, but we couldn't place our hand on it or pinpoint it. There was a little bit of like a tension in the house. The father had a little bit of money because he worked hard all his life and lived modestly, and the wife knew that and strained him a little bit at times. They were nice people. But the sister-in-law kind of knew. She thought there was maybe some more money in the house than she actually knew. Well, after that time, I'll get back to that. One time my own sister stayed overnight with a daughter there. They had some popcorn and were in the living room. They were playing checkers. Then they went up to bed. About midnight till 1 in the morning, they heard noises down in the kitchen. Banging. The sound of silverware. And my sister said to them, does your mom cook at night? And she said, no. And she said, maybe your father's getting a snack or something. She said, nah, he doesn't get up once he's in bed. And she said, well, don't you hear all that noise? And she said, yes, I do. And she said, what about it? And she says, don't pay no attention to that. That happens all the time. Well, they tried to lay down and go to sleep. Being two young teenage girls and nosy as they were, they couldn't sleep. They kept, well, I wouldn't sleep if I heard silverware rattling and cabinet drawers slamming and all that. Finally, the other girl said, just please, will you go to sleep? Don't worry about it. We know about it. Don't worry about it. So after an hour of laying there, very nervously, they both fell asleep. Next morning, they got up. They got up before the parents did, and they were going to go down there to get some toast and cereal. They went down the steps, and when they got to the kitchen utensils were thrown all over. Every single drawer and cabinet in that kitchen was wide open, just as if somebody had been hunting for something. Money, perhaps? Somebody was looking for something, and they didn't care who else was in the house, but they threw us everywhere. Well, my sister never did get an answer. Went on home. Needless to say, she never stayed overnight again there. But then later on, I found out. The two sisters had a quarrel over money and over the husband. And they had an argument, and it was a pretty heavy argument. Well, when the one sister went to work, the other sister was looking around the house trying to find this money that was supposedly hidden. The other sister found her and wanted her to leave the house immediately. And because of shame and embarrassment, being caught looking through her sister's house, within a couple days, she committed suicide. Yes, it might not have anything to our story, but it might have everything to do to the story. Why would somebody be down there at the midnight hour going through the cabinets and drawers and throwing things? Was it somebody in a fit of rage? Or was it somebody looking for something? We don't know. You can guess for yourself.